Today I'm in St Christopher's Place in London, and if you don't know this place, it is a really cool place to come out and eat. This is just off Oxford Street, so where all the main shopping is. You come through a little alleyway and it brings you into this lovely little oasis, which is filled with bars and restaurants. Very, very cool place to be. I'm here today to check out Bar Kroketa, which is just here behind me. And this is a chain of Spanish tapas bars. It's owned by a group that has some very high-end tapas bars. It also imports lots of different Spanish foods, but this is its everyday chain. This is where you come just if you want to have some quiet lunch. So let's go inside and check out what the tapas is like, and whether or not it justifies the price tag. So here I am in Bar Kroketa at St Christopher's Place. Now this place has a very Spanish feel to it, and that's the whole point. This is owned by the biggest importer of Spanish foods in the UK. It has a very high-end version of this, which you'd pay a lot of money for. But this is the cafe version, so more accessible, daily, come in. You get a very little small plate to put your tapas on. And there is no actual menu because it changes so often. There's a menu on the board, so it's basically a blackboard, and that menu is updated so they can change all the different things on there on a daily basis, change the prices as well. And what I've decided to go for today is the classic that most people have at lunchtime, is the lunch board. So for £14, you get 2 croquettes. So basically you have to have 2 the same, so you can't pick 2 different ones. And then you've got some olives, some tortilla, can I read the board from here? And a couple of other things. I'll talk about it when the board actually comes. But that's basically what you've got. And then we've ordered some extra croquettes because the cameraman is particularly hungry today. And he's also ordered something else which we'll go through when it turns up. So that's how it works in Bar Kroketa. So we placed the order, got everything coming. I've got my water here, so cameraman, you can come back to me now. So as you know, I always like to go for the tap water. Quite a fancy, nice little bottle, nice little glass. I'll see you when the food turns up. The food has now arrived. So this is what the lunch board looks like. It's sort of like a wooden plate. And I've got lots of different things on here. So let's go through them. So if cameraman wants to zoom in a little bit. So I've got, this is pan con tomato, which is basically bread with tomato chopped up in it. A little bit like a Spanish burrata, I guess. Then I've got my croquettes. They're quite small, as you can see. These ones are the Quilo pepper and manchego. So basically slightly spicy pepper with manchego cheese, been deep fried in breadcrumbs. I've then got a tortilla, which is traditional Spanish, basically like an omelette, a thick omelette. And then I've got some olives and some gherkins here. So let's dive in and have one of these croquettes, because this is called croqueta. This is obviously, you can pan back now. This is obviously, it's a new cameraman, got to train them up, got to tell them what to do. So it's the croqueta. So here it is. Basically, it's got inside, it's got manchego. I presume it's got some mashed potato, maybe something else. Let's wait and see. It's very soft. So it's deep fried on the outside, so it's crispy on the outside, really quite crunchy. And then inside is really, really soft. It's like a sort of paste, a bit cheesy. Can't taste much of the spicy pepper. Let's have another little bit of that. Not sure how spicy it is. It's got a nice sauce on it. Quite tasty, a bit soft for me, but let's have some of this bread, this sort of Spanish bread with tomato on it. Looks quite nice. It's different to the Italian version. There's a lot more garlic in it. It's quite a rich flavour. Tomato's very light, it's sort of almost been pulped, so it's like a tomato paste dish. Very, very tasty. That's cold, these are warm. Let's see what the tortilla is like, see whether or not this is hot or cold. So you can see it's quite soft in the middle. So sometimes you get this, it's very dense and solid. It's been sort of baked. This has definitely got a creamy middle to it. Let's see what it's like. That's very tasty. That is basically a taste of Spain. It's cold. Yeah, I'm quite impressed with that. I mean, the whole point of tapas is to have a lot of different things to sort of mix things up. So you've got a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Now, just in terms of the history of the word tapas and where tapas comes from, interestingly, tapas was actually invented by the French very, very long time ago, hundreds of years ago. But then it was taken on by the Spanish and became part of their national culture. Now, interestingly, tapas, the word, or tapa, means lid or cover, and it dates back apparently in Spain. When you had your drinks, if you drop into a local bar, lots of flies would come. So the bartenders would put covers on the drinks, and then the bartenders started putting a little treat, a little snack on top to encourage people to eat it. Obviously, you drink a bit faster if you're eating things that are salty and make you a bit thirsty. So that's the genesis of tapas. And then apparently also Alfonso X of Spain, king from a very long time ago, he was encouraging all the bars to serve tapas because he didn't want all of the people in Spain getting absolutely wasted. So he wanted to soak up some of the alcohol with some of the food. So that's what we've got here. We've got a little bit of tapas, lots of different things going on. Right, let me try a little bit of this. This is the crab toastie. So this isn't obviously, let me just, not on my board. This was an extra that I've ordered. Well, the cameraman ordered it. Bit of crab. Looks like a sort of standard toastie, but very, very wet inside. So much filling in that. That's really powerful crabby type flavour. If you like crab with a sort of cheesy mayonnaise type sauce, really nice. That's warm. Right, I've got one more croquette to have because I'm going to nick one of the cameraman's croquettes. So let me just swap these boards over. So this is king prawn with torched prawn. Now I'm not entirely sure what torched prawn is. I presume it's been charred, so it might be a bit black. Let's have a look. This comes with a little white sauce. So let's just see. So it doesn't look like it's very torched. It's not black inside, but let's have a taste. Very soft. These croquettes are very soft inside, so crispy on the outside, really soft inside. It's really like a prawny paste, I would say. Quite nice, not too fishy, tasty. Okay, I'm going to crack on with the rest of this food, and I'll see you for the dessert. Right, the desserts have arrived, and they are particularly tapasy. So this is something that I've never had before in my life. It's probably unique to this place. Maybe it's not. You can put me right on that if you've seen it somewhere else. But these are called, I'm looking at the board, chocolate croqueta with salted caramel. So just ask the waitress about this. So it's basically chocolate with flour that's been mixed up with some soft gooey centre. It's been deep fried, so it's sort of slightly hard on the outside, quite dense, quite heavy. It's warm, it's hot. Let's just bite it and get to see what it's like. So let's see.
Thank you very much.
Well, it is warm, soft. Let me get tastes a little bit like a raw donut. I wouldn't say it's particularly chocolate. It's quite chocolatey, but it tastes a bit doughy. That hasn't really been cooked properly. It's all right, but hopefully the churros will be better than that. Another bite. Maybe it's just a bad bite. Yeah, definitely tastes like raw donut. It's very salty as well. I mean, salted caramel. There's a lot of actual. I think these white bits are actual salt. Wow, that's really salty. Okay, that's not my favourite dessert I've ever had. And as you know, I do have a sweet tooth. I like desserts. Now, these guys, churros with warm chocolate. If you've never had churros, then where have you been all your life? What have you been doing? These are quintessential Spanish treats. It's basically a piece of fried dough, so like a donut, but elongated. They have a nice machine, you squeeze it all out into the hot fat, comes out, and then they coated this one in sugar, sometimes it's cinnamon, and then you get a nice warm chocolate dipping sauce. These are great, obviously not very healthy, but very indulgent, really nice. That's okay. I've had better churros, but that's okay. The chocolate sauce is really what it's all about. It's a bit thin, that chocolate sauce. It's all right. They're still quite nice, but they are really decadent because this is just literally deep fried dough with sugar and chocolate on it, so probably doesn't get less, more unhealthy than that. Anyway, I don't mind. I'm going to crack on. So I'm going to eat the rest of this. I'm not sure I'm going to eat the rest of that chocolate croquette because I didn't really like that. I'll have the rest of this and I'll see you for the wrap up. So here we are. Ooh, pop. Here we are at the end of the meal. And it's made me laugh that. Somebody having some champagne. Anyway, here we are at the end of the meal. So what was it like and how much did it cost is always the key question. Well, I wanted to come here because this is part of Brindisa. Brindisa is basically a three-part business. The biggest part of it is it imports lots of different Spanish foods that it sells to high-end restaurants and supermarkets in the UK. So Michelin-style restaurants will be buying all sorts of Spanish items from that. Alongside that, Brindisa has 5 restaurants in London which are pitched at a much higher level than these cafe-style ones. So a bit more at market, it's going to cost you a lot more for your tapas. So they opened Bar Kroketa as a basically everyday version of the upmarket one. We've got 3 of those. This is St Christopher's Place, there's one in Soho, and there's one over in the city of London where all the financial bigwigs are. So what was the tapas like? Was it any good? Well, I went for the lunch board, so did the cameraman. So we only got 2 croquettes on that, and you have to have the same one, so you get 2 of the same one. So I'm not quite sure they've got their lunch offering right. If I'm coming somewhere that's all about croquettes and I go for the lunch board, I would have expected to get more croquettes. So I got 2 and they were like this big. They were really quite tiny. Now they did pack a punch. They were quite tasty. Hard on the outside, nice and crispy, and then inside very, very soft, almost like a paste, really, really runny. So they were quite flavoursome, quite nice. Not enough of them, in my opinion. Had a little piece of bread with tomato on the top of it, a little bit like it's a Spanish version of what you would have in an Italian restaurant if you were ordering bruschetta, similar to that. Quite tasty, quite nice. Tortilla was nice, well cooked, had a nice soft bit through the centre, and then got some olives and pickles. And then also ordered a crab toastie, which was very crabby, quite creamy. So the food was okay. I wouldn't say it's the best tapas I've ever had. I quite like lots of little things with the tapas, and I got little things, but I didn't think it was the tastiest I've ever had. Now, I went for 2 desserts because I always like to try the desserts. They've only got 2 on the menu, so I had all of the dessert menu. But the chocolate croqueta, I'm just looking on the board what it was called. Chocolate croqueta, which was basically a combination of chocolate dough, sugar and salt. Wasn't that great. The cameraman really liked it. He ate half of mine as well as his own, so each to his own. So it's not, my personal opinion, I thought it was a little bit doughy, could have been a bit more chocolatey, too much salt, not that nice. The churros that came with, they were okay. I've had better, I've had worse. They were all right, middle of the road, I would say. But I didn't come specifically for the dessert, but I always like to see what they've got. So, key question, how much did it cost? Well, for all those items that we saw, and this was lunch, so I'd say I'm pretty full for lunch, not overly full. It came to a total £63.50. There was then a service charge of 13.5%, which was £8.57. Interestingly, in here they add a £1 charge for Street Smart, which is a charity that this group of restaurants supports, so I'm okay with that. So it was a total of £73.57. What's my overall assessment of that? Well, I think that's quite expensive. When you split that between 2, that's coming in around about £36 each. That's quite a lot. I'm expecting something quite high-end, something quite good for that. I've had quite a lot of set menus recently in London that have been £21, £25, which are quite high-end. I didn't think the food justified the price. I thought it was quite expensive for what it was. The food was okay, but it's not my favourite tapas. So overall, I'm not overwhelmed with it. What's my score out of 10? I'm going to give this 6.5. I think it's which is lower than average. And as you know, if it's less than 7.5, I wouldn't come back. Not sure I would rush back to Bar Kroketa. I'll try the more upmarket version, see what that's like, see if it's a lot better. But overall, I don't think it's worth paying these prices for this type of tapas. But that's just my opinion. The cameraman, he loved it, so he would probably come back tomorrow. In fact, I know for a fact he's been here quite a lot of times. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching this video all the way through to the end. If you like what I said, then please give me a thumbs up. Even if you didn't like what I've said, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again on the next video.